What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is Tuesday, December 21st. It probably will be for the duration of the podcast because 7 p.m. Tuesday games in the NFL apparently end really early. Golly, the Tuesday games weren't very fun. We'll break them down and talk about the playoff picture and all of that. But man, I would not be opposed to starting NFL games at 7 p.m. I know it's not helpful for the West Coast. Don't care. They started a Rams game at 7 p.m. So maybe that should be the new starting time. Joining me to break down. Yeah, I know, but I think anyway. Joining me to break it down, Ryan Wilson, John Breech. What's up, boys?
Yeah, here's the thing, and we used to talk about this when Sean Wagner-McGuff, before he got fired, we were going to stay at his parents' house during the season in Hawaii and just watch all morning games because by the time we finish, it's early morning.
Yeah, Hawaii, it's like 6 a.m.
I'm fine with that. Because we'll just pull a Brinson at the Super Bowl and just don't go to sleep. Am I right, Breech?
No, then our podcast ends at like 7 p.m. at night, and then we hit the town in Hawaii afterward. But Mr. East Coast bias over here wants every game to start at 7. That's absurd, Brinson. Driving home.
The Super Bowl is like face plant asleep. Breech and Brodsky at the Super Bowl is don't sleep. You got the wrong.
True story. As I was leaving the New York City Super Bowl with the flu at 4 a.m. to go to the airport and catch my plane, Breech and Brodsky come moonwalking in after a long night out. Breech, of course, wearing the jacket that he never gave back to me, but that's another story.
You could have asked for it then, and that's what a smart person would have done. So I'm exonerated.
If you were watching the show on YouTube with us live, hope you stayed up to do so. Go ahead and smash that like button. I'm guessing that we will. It is interesting that we'll see how many people we get joining us, but typically speaking, two snoozer Tuesday games are not going to ramp up the interest.
We should call it Snooze Day. Trademark that. Let's put it on a shirt. Sell it.
Snooze Day football, maybe.
Well, and my defense,
Seahawks game was good.
In my defense, I didn't see that game because Fox didn't show it in my area, and I was
blame Fox. If you lived on the West Coast, you would have watched it. Why don't you move there?
You live in Nashville, dum-dum. How'd you see it?
Right in the middle of the country.
Oh!
But I enjoyed the Washington Philly game in part because Philly got down 10-0 on 2 crazy plays, and I'm sure Debo was, air punching his wall like he was Rocky, and then they came back, and I like the whole Garrett Gilbert situation. Nick Mullins did well yesterday. Excuse me, Garrett Gilbert. I mean, the guy, they literally said on the telecast, he was giving his baby daughter, a bath or something on Friday or Thursday or whatever on the Patriots practice squad. Friday he's in D.C. and today he's a starter. I mean, that dude, he should be a Hall of Famer based on the way he played. He wasn't terrible, and he didn't give him a chance to win. They were up 10-0. They couldn't hold in the lead because the defense couldn't tackle anybody. But I thought, he availed himself. We've seen worse performances from first-round picks this year than we've seen from Nick Mullins and Garrett Gilbert.
Sure. Kyler Murray was worse on Sunday than Nick Mullins and Garrett Gilbert were on Monday and Tuesday.
And going into that game, if you thought anyone was going to let Washington down, you did not think it was going to be their run defense, which had given up the 4th fewest yards in the NFL going into this week. And you definitely thought it was going to be Garrett Gilbert. He got drafted in 2014, and this was just his 2nd career start. And like you said, Wilson, he wasn't even on the roster 7 days ago. So the fact that they scored any points with this guy at quarterback was a miracle.
Okay, let's reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, and by the way, if you're listening to the podcast, of course, thank you as always for listening. You don't have to, everyone shouldn't just watch on YouTube, but we appreciate the YouTube watchers. If you're listening to the podcast on Spotify specifically, they have added 5-star they've added rating systems. I assume if you're listening, you'd like to give us a good rating. So give us that 5-star rating, smash that. And if you're watching on YouTube, and also happy Wednesday. If you're listening on Spotify, that's probably when it'll come out. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. If you haven't hit the subscribe and alert button, go ahead and do that as well.
And let me just say quickly, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes, we need a 5-star review because one of our most recent reviews on iTunes, and I don't want to bring attention to this other than it's funny. When I said I would take Mahomes over I take
Herbert over Mahomes.
Yeah, and Breech gave a little pushback. Someone gave us a 1-star review on iTunes for that solely because of that conversation. Because you and I, Brinson, were morons for even suggesting that Justin Herbert was playing a little better than Mahomes the last month or so.
I mean,
we don't have to get into it. I just want to point that out. So you have to go counteract that by giving a 5-star review if you like it. That's all I wanted to say. We can circle back to that later after we talk about the games. But I thought that person, it was funny. That person was so angry. It was probably Breech, if we're being honest, that they went out there and gave us a
if you don't like something we say on the podcast, just shoot us an email or a tweet. You don't have to leave a 1-star review like, I hated this argument.
Feed our kids.
Who would you guys rather have, Patrick Mahomes or Garrett Gilbert?
Garrett Gilbert. Let's see what that gets us on the ratings.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Garrett Gilbert's brother that left the rating, and he'll change it to a 5.
No, it was you. It was you.
Or maybe it was Jackson Mahomes. Who knows?
Oh,
Wilson,
that's a good.
Why would I rip the podcast I'm on, even if I wanted to review a 1-star?
No one ever said you were smart, Breech.
Give it 5.
Okay. So
I'm drinking winter solstice hot chocolate, so I feel kind of smart.
Let's get into the games. The Eagles and WFT game finished 27-17. The Eagles come away victorious. Miles Sanders was outstanding. 18 carries, 131 yards. Jalen Hurts, even better. 20 of 26, 296 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Also ran 8 times for 38 yards and 2 scores. Dallas Goedert, despite a unbelievable drop with an even more unbelievable interception after it hits his heel and pops up in the air, still finished with 7 catches, 135 yards. And Jalen Reagor popped up for a little production as well. But the Washington was decimated by injury.
Not an excuse. As Breech noted, the excuse wasn't the offense. The excuse was the defense. And they didn't tackle anyone. And there are millions of teams that have COVID issues. So I get it, but the defense is why they lost, I feel like.
They got a bunch of their defense players back from the COVID list.
Yeah. The offense scored 17 points and it was fine.
It was 10-0.
Yeah. Debo, let's bring in Debo. Where Eagles are 7-7 now. Washington 6-8. Washington feels like they're probably toast.
Stephen O, our guy at Sportsline, Washington's chances went to to go to the playoffs went from 15% to 9%. And Philadelphia, we'll let you guess. It was 31% before this game. What do you think it is now to make the playoffs?
42.
You saw.
I promise I didn't see.
No, you didn't crack a smile, so I think you're telling
this.
Yep.
This guy doesn't get emails or read emails.
I don't get emails. I don't get any emails. I get no emails to my new email address.
41%. Well done, you.
If I want Brinson to respond to something, I literally have to handwrite him a letter and send it via United States Postal Service.
That's right.
I didn't even get the right number, and you thought I cheated? What?
You've been known to cheat. All right, Debo, what do you got?
I'm gonna get a little crazy right now.
Oh boy!
Video! I was like, who was that?
Things around.
I think I've seen you in I seen you.
Debo's got hair plugs for Christmas too. He's got to wear the hat for 2 weeks.
What if Debo had a full beard? Because he hadn't been on video in a while.
It's been so long since we've seen Debo. I forgot what he looked like.
All right, Debo.
Nothing like coming home and just hearing from my parents that the heaters are broken across the house in Pennsylvania after coming from 80-degree Florida this morning. But that's besides the point. But with that being said, I thought I was safe booking a Tuesday flight. So I will admit, full disclosure, I missed the first quarter of this game. And there's nothing worse. I would rather be watching the game than be tracking it on Game Tracker than to see Jalen Hurts interception and certain unnamed people making puns about heels and everything. And then a couple minutes later, you go forward and you see this fumble on Game Tracker. So that's just like the worst experience as a fan. So shout out to that Tuesday game for that. But otherwise, after that 10-0 start, I felt pretty confident throughout this game that the Eagles would get it done. Once Washington got to 10, I didn't think they would score another touchdown the entire game. That late score to make it 20-17 caused me some concern, but I like the way that the Eagles responded, and Greg Ward, hell of a touchdown catch. We even got Jalen Reagor involved a little bit. So there would be no coming back from a loss to this team that's as decimated as it is. But I feel good about the final 3 games.
You know what else is great, Debo? Jerron Franklin in the chat notes, the Eagles almost achieved the Urban Meyer ideal of 250 rushing yards and passing yards. So if you're hitting on Urban, you're doing something right. And by the way, absolutely nothing worse than trying to follow your team on Game Tracker when they're playing like dog doo-doo. And you're like, okay. And then you see that interception and you're like, oh my God, it's a million times worse than I ever imagined.
Love the CBS Sports app, but I cannot handle following games for teams that I'm rooting that way.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Where are you on Nick Sirianni as a coach?
Why was he streaming it?
There was some difficulties.
If you're in an airplane, you can't stream that on your phone, I don't think, can you?
Yeah, landed at 7:05.
Were you flying
right
like Spirit Airlines? I mean, I feel like you can usually
it.
Yeah,
Devo's
frugal as hell when it comes.
All right. Well, there we go. I was gonna say usually the big ones have usually live TV you can watch.
So the
live TV must be nice.
So the Eagles' next 2 games, they're going to get either Jake Fromm or my pal Mike Lennon, and then probably Taylor Heineke. We assume he'll be able to come back, and then maybe
Dallas,
maybe Dak Prescott.
Oh,
Cowboys
they're not going to win the division. They would only, the conference. They're only going to sit Dak and those guys if they have the number 2 or number 3 seed and they're stuck there or something.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible.
Okay.
Because the Bucs because if Dallas is even within 1 game of Tampa Bay, they would be locked into the 2 seed because Tampa Bay obviously beat them in week 1 and they would have the tiebreaker.
And well, that is an interesting thing because obviously if the Cowboys bench everyone,
it could be Green Bay, obviously.
You feel really good about winning if you're the Eagles, but what situation would it have to be? Because we talked about the other night how there's such a drop off. There's like a cliff drop off after the 6th seed. So if you're a division winner, you want the 2 seed, so you're playing the team. So if you're the Cowboys, you might be benching all your starters, and then you have to turn around and play the Eagles the next week because theoretically here the Eagles would be getting the 7 seed, right? Yeah. So like there could be a situation where the Cowboys are the 2 seed and playing the Eagles 2 weeks in a row.
Well, you cross that bridge when you get to it. I think if you're the Eagles. Let me ask you this because this is something I talked about on HQ just a moment ago. Who do you feel better about? I think I know what you're going to say, Breech, but I'll ask anyway for Brinson and Debo's input. So the 7th seed as we sit here, the Minnesota Vikings, 7-7, as are the Eagles and the Saints. Which team do you feel better about in terms of quarterback, team makeup, chances to make some noise as a 7th seed?
Debo? Who?
Oh, come on.
And my answer. I mean, the way that the Eagles have been playing with the aberration of that Giants game, which was about as bad as you can get, and if they had that win, they'd be sitting real pretty for that 7 seed, even the 6th seed. The way they're running the ball, and if they're committed to the run, and Jalen Hurts just can limit the turnovers. He had the 2 tonight, 1 completely not his fault. If he can limit the fumbles, I would not want to play a team that's clicking that much on the ground in the playoffs.
I think it applies to the 3 teams who are, and I get that they're not like world beaters or anything, but the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Colts. And we talked about the other 2 a lot, but the issue is you get into a playoff game and maybe and you have a team with a really good, maybe there's some bad weather, depending on where they play. They have a great rushing performance. It shortens the game. It minimizes the number of possessions that you can that the other team will have on offense. And maybe the Eagles, 49ers, or Colts defense just comes to play that day because they have the guys to do it. Like, Fletcher Cox, you just have Fletcher Cox, Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. You just have these guys who can make plays. Darius Slay. If that's the sort of situation I think I'd be nervous about if I'm a team like, whether it's Tampa or Arizona, even the Rams, and certainly Dallas, you could just be in a position where you can't stop this other team's rushing attack. And then you're forced to become one-dimensional. And I think that's why the Eagles, the Colts, and the 49ers are interesting to me as wildcard teams.
All right, well, who are you taking for the 7th seed? Minnesota, New Orleans, Philadelphia. I'm on Team Debo.
I know I said New Orleans last night, but, I don't know why I said New Orleans last night when Philly was playing a completely shredded Washington team.
And the way that Breech broke it down, the Eagles, from my perspective, just have to avoid that 3-team tie with the Vikings, Saints, and Eagles, because then things get a little clunkier. If they do manage to have the same record as the Saints, they'll get in because of that head-to-head matchup. So the Vikings still have the Rams, the Packers, and the Bears. I don't think they're running the table. The Saints could run the table. This Dolphins Monday night game is the biggest test on their schedule. And then we'll see about week 18 versus the Cowboys if you're the Eagles.
Breech, you're going to say the Vikings. Explain.
Well, hold on. Our conversation last night was which quarterback did we trust the most? And that because it was after Kirk Cousins just had his 80-yard dive bomb game where the worst passing yardage total of his entire career. in prime time, which is not what you want to see 4 weeks before the playoffs start. And so I said I would take Kirk Cousins out of the quarterbacks we were talking about. But now just looking at these schedules, I'm on the Eagles train.
Oh, here we go.
It is, I think Philly, out of these three teams, if we talk about the 3-7-7 teams, the Saints, the Eagles, and the Vikings, I think the Eagles are the only one that has a realistic chance of going undefeated. Like the Saints might have a slightly easier schedule, but they're not, I don't trust their offense right now.
What about 9-8? Does 9-8 get the Eagles in?
Yeah, I don't know. Because then you're talking about other factors. One of those 6-8 teams could get to 9-8.
Whoa. No, the Washington and Atlanta are out. Washington's playoff chances are now 9%, and Atlanta must be below that. I'm not even factoring those guys in.
It's just 3 teams right now, right?
Right. I think it's
and for the Eagles to get there, that probably means they beat Washington. So I think that you could.
Well, if the Eagles are 9-8, what I'm saying, if the Eagles are 9-8, that means they lost a game. Let's assume they didn't lose to the Giants. So it's either to Washington or the Cowboys. If Washington has everyone back and is not playing with a third string quarterback, maybe they win. So if we are using a scenario where the Eagles are 9-8, their loss could certainly be to Washington, and there's no reason Washington couldn't be 9-8 at that point. But in that case, I would probably take Minnesota.
I mean, the other problem for Washington is even if they're going to get their guys back, they have to go to Dallas this week. Like if you're going to catch Dallas, you want it to be in week 18 when they might sit their players.
Right. That's true.
And if Washington's 9-8.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if Washington's 9-8, and the only game that the Eagles lose is the Dallas game, that means that the Eagles beat them again in week 17. So it doesn't matter.
I'm just running through the old playoff machine. So we're saying that, let's say the Eagles beat the Cowboys and lose to Washington. Washington loses to the Cowboys but beats the Giants. And then Washington also, that takes care of all those games, right? Yeah. If that happens, the Eagles are still the 7th seed.
At 9-8?
And what did the Vikings?
They would win the. Yeah, I guess I need to run all the other NFC teams, but
if
Minnesota wins out.
I don't know what happens if Minnesota goes 2-1, but
are you? I mean, the other thing too that you got to factor in with the Eagles is, like Jalen Hurts is making it easier and easier not to use a first-round pick, Debo, on a quarterback, right?
Well, I want to ask Debo. That has to do everything, I would imagine, with your buddy Nick Sirianni not being stupid with the play calling.
Agree on the play calling. Didn't agree with everything Nick Sirianni did on 4th down tonight. I think there was definitely some points left on the field, but play calling goes a long way. And yeah, there was never a point this season, and the draft class played a large role in it, where I really seriously considered, like, okay, the Eagles should be considering a quarterback in this draft class. I saw a couple people after the fumble tonight tweet out Kenny Pickett, and it's just like, come on, guys, let's go forward with this, or just look ahead and stockpile for 2023.
I'm trying to quickly do the math to make sure I didn't miss anything. I do believe if the Vikings go 2-1, the Vikings will win a tiebreak at 9-8.
There we go.
What's their schedule, Breech?
Rams, Packers,
Loss.
Bears.
Okay, no, they're losing 2 games. So
I don't know. I think they can beat the Rams.
I
picked them to beat the Rams. My picks are already out this week. People can read on CBSSports.com. But the reason I think they can do it.
Hold on. Let's see.
Hold up.
Okay, so this. All right, yeah. This is. So I went through and picked I did all the relevant using the ESPN playoff machine or whatever. Did all the relevant games. For the situation we're talking about, where the Vikings beat the Rams, lose to the Packers, beat the Bears in week 18. Eagles. So you have a New Orleans. What the hell just happened here? Wow. There's a path. Okay. Man. This is all, it's going to come down to strength of victory is what's going to happen, I think.
I think we agree with that.
I mean, it's just going to be a crazy end of run tiebreaker, I think.
And for anyone wondering that right now, the Vikings 439 strength of victory, the Eagles 372. So there'd have to be a lot of every team the Eagles beat would have to start winning games starting this week.
But now here's the other thing that is still in play too, is the 49ers go 1-2, and then you have San Francisco, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and New Orleans at 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, it would be Philly is the 7th seed and Minnesota is the 6th seed, and San Francisco and New Orleans would be out.
I think that the Vikings are going to lose 2 of these games. I know Breech doesn't think that's going to happen, but that's my bold prediction, along with Philly squeezing away in there.
So anyway, I guess the larger point is like if any team gets to 10, they're in.
Yep.
If there's a big tie at 9, it suddenly becomes just a total wild card, because I do believe
and in fact, you can miss the playoff as a 10-win team because the Cardinals haven't clinched anything yet, and they could lose the division and be on the wrong side of.
That is absolutely possible.
Well, no one has. I mean, the Buccaneers, could they still miss the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, the only team that's clinched
if they go 10-7 and the Saints win out, there's a path because the Saints have head-to-head sweep.
And by the way, I just want to point out, when I said last year there's a path to 9 wins, I meant for the 2021 Cowboys. They are 10 wins, so I forgot to point that out last week when they got to
great foresight.
Thank
Wilson.
You. So I wear thick glasses. I can see into the future.
Yeah, the Cardinals though they're at 10. I mean, I think they're
fine. Don't go through that. I was just joking.
But they still play the Cowboys, and they still play the Colts, and they still play the Seahawks.
I have no concerns about that team, but I was joking about that.
Let me ask you this though: out of the Cardinals and I mean, what are the 49ers? 8-6.
Yes.
What do you think the Cardinals are going to do in their final 3 games? In those 3 games, with
I think they're going to lose out. I think
Colts, Cowboys, and Seahawks.
I think they're going to lose out.
No, they'll go 1-2.
Because if they win 1, they're in. They just have to get to 11.
Yeah, they're in. They're not missing the playoffs.
Yeah,
but what and I talked about, this is a question that I got earlier on HQ. Over under 11.5 win totals for the Cardinals.
11.5?
I'm going under.
Yeah.
Under.
Yeah.
I'm putting the house on under.
All day long.
Yeah, I'll take whatever you will offer on under there.
But I think they beat the Seahawks.
I wonder if they probably Caesars. Oh, they have updated it. Ooh, spicy. What do you think the Cardinals' odds to win the NFC West are? Well, I guess I could save this for the.
I'd say plus now, plus 200.
No.
Okay,
we'll save it. We'll save it for the. Do we anything else we want to talk about in Philly and Washington? I mean, we didn't.
Ryan, do you regret not taking the Eagles instead of the Panthers in your Super Bowl draft?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for bringing that up.
I think it was just Devo trying to do this.
In a minute.
Yeah.
Imagine where we were a month ago that the Panthers got selected and the Eagles didn't. What a waste of a pick.
All right.
Yeah, the Eagles just didn't get selected. I mean,
Matt Rule. Dang it.
I mean, right now, if I said you can have the Eagles or the Cardinals to win the Super Bowl, no blood if neither one wins.
We should have just done, instead of $33, as you put in $10 every time one of your teams gets eliminated. So whether it's from the playoff race or from the playoffs, and then the last man standing, whether it's the Super Bowl champ, then that's how
we can do that bet too. We can do 2 bets. We're gonna run that one.
That could be the one for just us 3.
Yeah.
Since C-Rad's already going to win the other one.
He's going to win the whole thing. The
NFC East, by the way, is off the board now with Washington's loss. I think that their path was like 40-1 or something.
Well, the Cowboys only have to win 1 more game to clinch.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the Cowboys have some winnable games for sure. Okay. Any other thoughts on Washington, Philly? I know we didn't break it. I mean, just a couple of points on the game itself, because we did. The problem is you sort of start to dive into more playoff picture as we get to it. The Hurts interception early. I know you didn't see it, Debo. I mean, obviously not.
I saw it.
Oh, yeah, you saw it. Yeah. That was a crazy play, man. I've never seen a drop go off somebody's heel, pop up in the air, get caught. And the other thing is that should have been a house call.
And I was glad Washington scored a touchdown there. I mean, not glad, but like Landon Collins got ripped off of a pick 6 because the refs blew the play dead. And he was literally the only person in the entire stadium who knew that ball bounced off of the tight end's heel. I mean, it was because he kind of reacted. And I think even people watching at home were like, what is he doing? Like, what? No, like the ball hit off the ground. It's 4th down. They're going to punt. Okay. And then the refs are sitting there talking for 5 minutes and you have no idea what they're talking about. No one's explaining anything. And then 30 seconds later, they're like, looks like we have an interception on the field. And that 30 seconds later is like 6 minutes after the play. It was a whole circus.
Did they have to challenge? No, because it was a turnover. So no. Did they challenge it?
No.
The challenge later was the obvious catch by Devontae Smith, incredible catch, 2 toes dragging on the sideline. That
I just don't know.
incomplete.
To perpetuate the Brinson sort of conspiracy theory, I don't know why they don't go do it all the time. Just why are we wasting? Now, what's going to happen is, and probably in the Super Bowl or in a championship game, someone's got to challenge something that they can't use later because the buttholes upstairs didn't call down and say, hey, that's a catch or not a catch. Debo, where are you on the thank God we drafted Devontae Smith bandwagon?
Thank God we drafted Devontae Smith.
How good is that guy?
I would be interested if Micah Parsons was on this team and on the defense, but I think the
draft linebackers though, Debo.
No, I think the need. Well, he's not a linebacker anymore.
So you wouldn't prefer Justin Jefferson, Micah Parsons. Then is what you're saying.
That would be a hell of a combo. We didn't have to bring that up. I keep thinking, yes, the Eagles took Jalen Reagor right before, but at some point, like, there's got to be a conversation about Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, Ruggs and CeeDee Lamb. Like, Justin Jefferson is on pace to be a top 5 receiver of all time at this rate. Like
that's. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely
the Eagles
fair.
passed on him right before. Boneheaded move, Vikings laughed in their face. But 21 other teams passed on him too.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson should have been the 3rd pick behind.
Oh yeah, I think you said 3rd wide receiver.
No, behind. I mean, if you redid the draft right now, I mean,
I thought you said readed, like READED. I was like, this guy can't even read properly.
What?
Redid. I thought you said readed, READED. I was like,
would you take Chase Young or Justin Jefferson?
Justin Jefferson.
Okay. I mean, obviously it's Burrow and then Herbert 1 and 2.
I'm taking him over Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a terrible wide receiver. Where was JJ? I think it was
the linemen.
Maybe I mean Jefferson. I think is going 3, and then it's like after that it's
who else?
All right, Jonathan Taylor too would be a top 10 pick.
I would say, I think AJ Terrell's going under the radar, but
he's been a great season. Yeah,
one of the best corners in the league already.
Yep,
he's good.
Yeah, there's a bunch of. I mean, Trevon Diggs might be a little bit higher. Anyway, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole. This game felt like Washington caught some breaks early. Garrett, Gilbert, as Wilson points out, very similar to Nick Mullins, made some plays, tried to do as much as they could.
Didn't have any turnovers. I think.
I mean,
I don't think he lost any fumbles.
They were basically going to funnel the offense through Antonio Gibson and give him as much work as possible and try to be semi-conservative in how they approached it. It felt like, and then
he got hurt on the second drive.
He gets hurt. They just didn't. I mean, they just didn't have enough. First of all, the NFL shouldn't have moved any of these games. They could. I mean, like it ended up not really mattering. They should have played them on time. Now Philly has a short week. Washington has a short week. The Rams and Seahawks do too. Washington was just incredibly shorthanded. And Philly took advantage and eventually wore them down and pulled away.
That's not an excuse. And Breech pointed out that the defense had most of their dudes back. The offense wasn't the problem. They were up 10-0 on the mistakes of the Eagles, and the defense refused to tackle anyone for 55 minutes.
Got to tackle.
Okay.
It's called tackle football.
Okay. I mean, all right, that's fine.
And the Eagles put up 519 yards. That was their highest total yardage in a game since 2014. It actually hit 519 a couple of years ago, but first time they've gone higher than that since 2014. And that's just bonkers because Washington was so good at stopping the run, and the Eagles it was strength versus strength. And Eagles went for 238. And a big part of that, though, was that Jalen Hurts was able to throw the ball because Washington's horrible at stopping the pass. And if Hurts was just throwing, inaccurate, thrown out of bounds, looking ugly, then I think it would have been a little tougher to run the ball. But Washington had to respect him because he was on point tonight.
They've done that against a lot of teams that have supposed best run defenses in the league, and they shred them.
Yeah, I give Debo credit for sticking with Jalen Hurts because, first of all, I mean, he knows this upcoming draft class isn't great for quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts is going to be a first-round pick in this draft class if he's coming out this year, number one. Number two, he's 2 years in now, and some of the things you sort of forget about when you see these guys in college is that they're going to get better if they're in the right situation. And Philly feels like the right situation. Now, I don't know about Nick Sirianni or whatever. He's doing better. But they have 3 first-round picks. I'm not sure how much money they have in terms of free agent salary cap space, Debo. But it's a team going in the right direction in a division that's, wide open. So there are worse spots to be in and worse quarterback situations.
Good point by Diego in the chat. You can toss it up if you want, Debo. But he points out, the Eagles had 2 guys go into COVID protocols on the offensive line, and they still pounded the football. Like that's a fair point. And those guys were, it was Dillard and
Dickerson.
Yeah. The landed. But like those guys went into COVID protocol so late, there was no chance they were testing out. Washington at least had the game. Like they would have played if the game had been on Sunday, I think. Whereas, Washington got this opportunity to everybody to test out of it, and just nobody, ended up nobody getting out of it. They had a private jet waiting for like 5 guys, and 3 of them were inactive. Also, Washington brought the Cowboys benches. They called the company that made those benches for Dallas that put them on the Washington sideline. And Washington announced before the game they were going to take him to Philly, and they were going to take him to Dallas, and they were going to take him to New York. And Dallas people were dunking all over Washington for it because it's as
who cares?
But somebody pointed out, I was like, what a little brother move that is. Also, why would you bring a heated Washington bench to indoor Dallas stadium?
It seems like a terrible waste of money and resources, but I don't. At the end of the day,
that's Daniel Snyder's MO. Wasting money and resources. Come on, Wilson.
Like that Washington Post article from the other day where they're like, it said that Dan Snyder, this lawsuit with Bruce Allen is going on as part of the settlement. He demanded a congratulations on the Ron Rivera hire text. He's like, I as part of the settlement, I want a text from Bruce, thank you, like congratulating me on the hire. And they're like, no, this is preposterous.
It's not real life. That's why we're living in a simulation. That wouldn't happen in the real world.
Yeah. So anyway, you look at the box score, absolute dominance by the Eagles. Took care of business.
Miles Sanders, good back. I think people have questions throughout the year. Good running back. Also point out Kenny Pickett, 2 months older than Jalen Hurts right now.
That's a fun fact. Yeah.
And I get it. The last time we saw Jalen Hurts in action was 24 days ago against the Giants, his worst game of the year, the Eagles' worst game of the year as a team. And then you had the Minshew thing after that. You had a bye week. You had this delayed game. So I get where maybe you kind of forget the type of performance he was putting up in October and November. And again, it's against a depleted Washington team, but I think this is more like the Hurts that we can and should expect.
Look, all right. Dude, this is a big spot on a Tuesday night in a semi-national game, and he went out and balled out and beat a division rival to give the Eagles some legitimate playoff hope. I mean, that's a
play better than Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and obviously Nick Mullen. And
now he's just got to beat Mike Glennon.
Probably going to be Jake Fromm based on what the Giants have done, but we'll see.
By the way, congratulations to Garrett Gilbert, but I swear to God, every time I want to say his name, I want to say Gilbert Gottfried. So
just do it. We won't judge you.
That's okay. Fair enough. So if he continues to play, I hope he plays well, but I'm going to start calling you Gilbert.
Every time I say his name, I think of what's eating Gilbert grape. So we're on the same page, Wilson.
This is the worst conversation in the history of this podcast.
I mean, honestly, it's not even in the top 10. I've listened to this podcast.
Not even the top 50.
Okay.
Yeah, let's be real. All right, what's next?
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about the NFC West matchup.
Ooh.
Oh, Debo disappeared. I thought he was going to hang out. I thought he was going to use this Eagles opportunity to slide in, moving. He's got the, everything's coming up Debo. Maybe he tries to slide in and take over his talent. I mean, I would welcome Debo onto the program on a full-time basis.
We all would.
He'd clean it up.
Yeah, I tweeted out that I got to get away from Brinson earlier today, and then I forgot that I had this podcast tonight. So can't even get a full day.
Debo, I'm sorry. I'm just
Debo's
where can I send you a Christmas card?
This would be a Scott Van Pelt Sports Center, but only 4 times it appears to be Eagles history have there been a 130-yard rusher and 130-yard receiver. The last time was 2010 with Shady McCoy and Deshaun Jackson. Prior to that, Timmy Brown and Pete Retzlaff did it twice in 1965. Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert did it this time. Jalen Hurts, also the only Eagles quarterback with 10 rushing touchdowns in a season ever. It's pretty impressive.
Pretty good.
Pretty
fun facts, Brinson.
Oh man, that last Curve episode on Sunday was pretty good.
I fell asleep, so I got to go back and watch it.
Oh,
yeah, well, we got to get the podcast over so I can go watch the new Matrix movie.
Oh, good point. Not on Paramount Plus, but whatever, Breech.
Somebody in the chat said you need to go watch it, Wilson.
Okay,
so the Rams.
Wilson always says we live in a simulation. So this is like his fantasy movie.
I know. This simulation watching simulation movies. What about that?
Why not? The Rams beat the Seahawks 20-10. Rams had 332 yards, 5.4 yards per play. The Seahawks had 214 and 4 yards per play. Matthew Stafford, 21 of 29, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, a really bad pick. He's trying to hit Cooper Kupp, but it's okay. Cooper Kupp ended up having a monster game anyway. 9 catches, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Seahawks, Russ Wilson, 17 of 31 for 156 yards and a pick. DK Metcalf had 6 catches on 12 targets. For me, the story coming out of this game was that, I mean, now the Seahawks are more than likely toast. They were more than likely to
say it.
What?
They're done. More than likely. What are you talking about?
They're done.
Well, don't hedge. Own it.
The Seahawks are 5-9. They're not making the playoffs.
Thank you. I didn't mean to yell.
It's okay. I mean, there was a pass before. The biggest concern, I think, is Russell Wilson was probably the best deep ball thrower in football before his hand injury. And he was terrible coming back from his hand injury initially, just in terms of accuracy, like 55%, which is very un-Russ-like.
As you would expect.
Sure. And this is still the time period where he should be coming back. His deep balls tonight, oh my God. I mean, the helium balloons, as Pete Prisco would like to say. What's that?
How'd you see the game?
No comment.
This was his 6th game since coming back from injury, and he's only had 1 good game. He's had 5 bad games since coming back from injury, and it's mostly he's looked erratic. He just looks inaccurate. It's either maybe he's not comfortable, his hand's not fully healed, but he just can't make the throws that he used to make look easy. I mean, the one where he missed DK Metcalf in the 4th quarter on what would have been a game-tying touchdown, and the Rams Twitter account is sharing it like Jalen Ramsey made an all-pro play, when in fact Russell Wilson underthrew DK by like 10 yards, and it would have been the easiest touchdown in the history of Seahawks football if you had made a good throw. Like, it was just, Russell Wilson makes that throw 99% of the time pre-injury, and now post-injury, you just wonder, is this where he just needs to get the season over, get his hand right, so he can focus on whatever the heck he's going to do next year? Because it might not be anything with Seattle. But it's just it's not painful watching him play. It's not sad, but it's weird because you expect so much more of him, and I'm sure he expects so much more of himself. So yeah, he definitely struggled.
I mean, Eskridge opened multiple times deep, and I mean that DK is a walk-in touchdown if Russ is pre.
And that was with like 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and they were trailing by a touchdown.
So you guys both agree that you're bringing Russ back when Russ came back, because the alternative is Geno Smith, and you're trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
you're just going with 60% Russ, and whatever happens, happens, and this is what's happening.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, Russ he rushed back. They brought him back early. Look, at this point, it does feel a little bit like it. I mean, Pete Carroll's Pete Carroll, and I'm a big Pete Carroll guy, but geez Louise, I mean, he seems to think he can win these. And maybe he wasn't wrong, because Sean McVay was trying to play into his hands too. He kicks that field goal on the first drive with a 4th and short down on the Seattle 37. There's that bad interception by Stafford on the 2nd drive, punt, turnover on downs when they actually decide to go for it, take a knee for end of half. I mean, it was 3-3 at halftime.
Oh boy,
There's way more scoring in this game, and the Rams could have easily dominated this game. It felt like McVay was even trying to play it safe, knowing
that he sort of secretly does.
He always does. Yeah, he's not aggressive at all.
I mean, this is not the game to like crush him for that, because like you said,
I'm not crushing him. I'm just making note.
Well, I mean, he's done that in the past. I thought this was one of his aggressive games, which isn't saying a lot because he's not usually aggressive. Like you said,
went on 4th down. I was shocked.
He did go for it on 4th down. If you look at the possessions in the first half, most of them were ended by some weird penalty. You know, like they drove straight down the field. 4th and 10 when they kicked the field goal, you're not going for it on 4th and 10, and they got a 5-yard penalty and kicked on 4th and 5. The Stafford interception was just a miscommunication, but it was a horrible, horrible, horrible throw, miscommunication or not, because no one was there. It was just an easy pick for Diggs. And then 4th and 18, you're not going for it. That was their other, I think, punt. And so it was just, and then like you said, that the possession, I think late in the 2nd quarter, they did go for it on 4th and 2. And so I did think he played. It was just the Rams offense wasn't working the way I think he would have liked it to work, but this was not his least aggressive game.
Just so we're clear, Brinson and I aren't dunking on him. We're just making an observation.
Just sounds like you're hating on McVay. Just got to defend him.
I don't know what happened. I know what it is. Sorry, the Bengals are in first. Yeah, and the Bengals are in first place.
You got a ball game tomorrow.
We do. Briscoe ball. That's what McVay was just. Wilson was talking about how fast this game was going. McVay was just trying to get over so he could fly to Frisco and get to the bowl they invented so that Miami of Ohio could have a bowl game.
By the way, I just want to say quickly about Pete Carroll, who I like, and I think he's I guess he's a Hall of Famer. You guys pay more attention to that than I do, but he's had a great career. But here's the deal: when you're as conservative as he is on the fourth down calls, which is almost always going to be a punt, it is going to cost you in the end. It's going to add up at some point. Now, you can say John Harbaugh and Brandon Staley are too aggressive, and that's fine. Maybe there's a middle ground there, but there's no middle ground with Pete Carroll, and he thinks his way is always going to work. And it's worked in the past when that defense has been lights out and Russ has been healthy. But that stuff starts to add up when everything gets leveled out. Your quarterback only has 9 fingers. The offensive line stinks. The defense isn't what it once was. And that's how you end up being a 5 or 6 win football team and 100% out of the playoffs, despite the fact that Brinson didn't want to say that out loud.
Right, I mean, they're just not eliminated. So,
wins over Wilson, they're eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be picking them in a playoff.
So if we did a redraft, you wouldn't take the Seahawks?
I would not take the Seahawks. No.
First overall.
Good thing no one took the Seahawks.
I mean, you look at this game, and it's like, man, I mean, this is an absolute, really domination. I thought the Rams should have done what they did in the second half, in the first half. Like, they should have flipped the halves. Come out, sling into Cooper Kupp, feed him targets, get him going. And then you can lean into Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson if you want. And
can I give you a Cooper Kupp fun fact?
Yeah, sure.
This might be the funnest fact I've ever seen. It's from Hayden Winks. Where's Hayden working? He works for Underdog Fantasy.
Underdog Fantasy, yeah.
And this was even before. This number is actually higher because it was about the third quarter of the game. Cooper Kupp is averaging more yards per game this year. It was 114. Maybe it's probably 115 now. Than he did as a high school senior in Yakima, Washington, where he had 107. Think about that.
Yeah. I mean, Kupp. I saw our pal, a friend of the program, Greg Rosenthal, tweet this out. Like, Cooper Kupp kind of does make you rethink, could a wide receiver win MVP? And I know I crap on Jonathan Taylor winning MVP, but Kupp would never win it. His quarterback would get it before him, I think. But, man, what a season by him.
Here's what I'll say about that, and I mentioned this on HQ as well. If people in the chat want to go watch that and support me in my other line of work. DK Metcalf, just my other job. There's some likes at CBS Sports HQ.
You get you work for a separate company that pays you to go on HQ?
Just
I don't, yeah.
Let's keep moving.
Shut up, Breech.
Breech is not wrong, but let's keep
I just want to tell Breech. Yeah. I got caught in a cul-de-sac and you want to amplify. Just let me hit reverse and back up. DK Metcalf was without Tyler Lockett. And DK Metcalf, and not entirely his fault, Russ Wilson isn't Russ Wilson. He wasn't exactly taking over the game when given the opportunity. Cooper Kupp is basically Devontae Adams. They have one receiver, and they actually have Odell Beckham, and they have Van Jefferson. They have actually more than one receiver, but he's the guy.
See that?
Yeah, you probably did. I saw that. Victor Garcia has a comment we'll read in a second. But Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp are basically the same person in that their quarterback is going to throw to them a lot. The defense knows it, and the defense is helpless to do anything about it. And I think they can take over games whenever they want, and it's incredibly fun to watch. And you've actually talked about this before, Brinson. You look at Cooper Kupp, you're like, oh, he looks like he's 5'10" out there. He's huge. He's not fast. I think I say it all the time. Around 4.62 at the combine, but he's quick in small areas, and no one can cover him. So, yeah, he's a lot of fun. Congratulations to him. And I'll put one more thing out there. I don't know who said this on Twitter because it was sort of going by and I didn't go back and check. But I'll put it to you first, Breech, because I know what Brinson's going to say. He's about to get all huffy. Is Matthew Stafford just Jared Goff with a better PR team?
I mean, look, here is
outrageous.
This is I'm not going to go that far. I do think he is better than Jared Goff, but we've seen Jared Goff win a lot of games with the Rams record. I don't think is much better than it would have been if Goff was still the quarterback right now. And I think that is maybe what you're alluding here to. And earlier when you asked me about why I thought the Vikings could make the playoffs, and the big reason was just that I thought they have a chance to beat the Rams this week because Stafford, when he gets flustered, he does the same thing as Goff. He just does something dumb. I mean, like, and we saw tonight, the Seahawks kept this game close because they had Stafford on his heels all night. I mean, they sacked him 4 times. Stafford, I think, has only been sacked multiple times in 5 out of 14 games, and this was 6 out of 14 games. So the Rams are now 3-3 when Stafford gets sacked multiple times, and which isn't, that's that's an interesting number. I don't think it's a coincidence because he's not a guy who's running around and making plays like Russell Wilson. If you get him in trouble, then their offense is in trouble. And, the Vikings lead the NFL in sacks. And so that's why I think Stafford could be in trouble this Sunday.
And before you answer, Brinson, I'll just say quickly, because I was
crushing about something else.
I know, but I was crushing Jared Goff when he left town for Detroit. And I went back and looked at his numbers. I've said this before, and I just repeat it for the sake of reinforcing it, is that his numbers were really freaking good Sean McVay's first few years there. He was terrible with Jeff Fisher his final year, whatever, we get that. But that offense and Jared Goff seemed to click, and then things sort of went sideways. So Matthew Stafford's better than Jared Goff, but he's just not, it's not clear cut. Oh, slam dunk, he's that much better.
Yeah, I think I would say that the two, no, that's wrong. He is substantially better than Jared Goff. Much better than Jared Goff.
Well, we haven't seen it yet. Where am I going to see it?
I mean, with your eyeball, when you watch it, he's clearly better.
Breech just laid out in grand detail while you were giggling.
Sure. I mean, look, they had a quasi-pandemic offseason, or a full pandemic offseason technically, but like not a completely virtual offseason or anything like that. New team, but he's if you think Jared Goff's better than Matthew Stafford, then you should probably find a new job. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you shouldn't be analyzing football. I mean,
he just carved up the 10-4 Cardinals, the 10-3 Cardinals at the time.
Okay, Jared Goff had a great game. Jared Goff's a former #1 overall pick. He's not a bad player.
No. Okay, Wilson, I don't even think is insinuating that Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Like, that is plain and simple.
I just said that.
What I was saying is that, and this is the point I was trying to make, is that the Rams offense isn't 10 times better with Matthew Stafford versus Jared Goff.
That's what I just said.
What I was going to say is that I think the hype leading up to the season, partially Sean McVay's fault, because he was hyping. I mean, okay, whatever. Sean McVay was hyping up Matthew Stafford. The Rams PR train was in full effect. And
you threw your Phillip Rivers doll against the wall, and you fully embraced Matthew Stafford.
You're part of the problem now. But then the Rams came out hot, and I think those two factors caused people to think, oh, this is good. They're just only going to get better, and it's hard to sustain that over the course of the season. By the way, on the DK Metcalf thing.
Well, read what Victor's comment was, so people who are listening know.
Victor's comment was, we said that Russ Wilson and DK Metcalf would surpass. Didn't Brinson?
We didn't say this. This is your bet.
Did I bet this?
This came up because last November, DK Metcalf said that him and Russell would break the record.
So what's the comment?
Didn't Brinson and Ryan bet last year that Russ and DK will surpass all-time combo TDs? Laughing emoji, crying laughing emoji. I think Wilson said no. It was a Monday night game last year. Seahawks versus Eagles. Wentz sucks so bad. Nice little Wentz fire.
Nice kicker there.
Okay, so this has flown under the radar. I don't remember us talking about this at all.
We talk about a lot of things that we all try to forget.
This was like a 45-minute discussion.
Oh, was it really?
No, I don't know. I remember us talking about this. I'm saying I don't remember us talking about this season, what I'm about to bring up. Did you guys read the thing about DK Metcalf and the OnlyFans thing?
No, but before you get to that,
God, Brinson,
don't get off topic. So what's going on with this bet here?
Well, are you about to turn this into a conspiracy? Are you about to turn this into a conspiracy theory that Russell Wilson?
It's Adam Levitan of Establish a Run created. It's the Bible narrative. So since this OnlyFans, this girl on OnlyFans, I think it's like Tory Land or Tommy Land or something. She like sends out this stuff about, she's like, DK, had me cut. I was going to his house, and then he was like, hold on, turn around, don't come yet. He's like, I'm trying to get these 3 other girls so we can have a
family show.
I'm telling you, this happened on October 27th.
Well, apparently this is what Brinson's family listens to.
Yeah. Since then, and I realized that Russ was probably hurting there, and DK missed a game, or there was a bye. Do you know what DK has averaged per game? And his teammates made fun of him, by the way.
Wait a second. What did they make fun of him about? For sending the girl back?
There's some guy replied to a tweet he sent out. He was like, hey, are you doing anything on Tuesday? I was going to see if you want to join our foursome at the golf event.
Wow.
Anyway,
why would this affect his ability to catch a football?
He is averaging 3.8 receptions and 36 yards per game since then.
Well, if that's your excuse for why you...
Okay, but this also coincides with Russell Wilson's finger surgery.
I just wanted to... I mean, I don't think that's a thing.
throw old
It
DK
did
under
seem
the
like
bus.
tensions were boiling up between DK and Russ.
Well, you're the one that bet that they're going to break the record.
Well, yeah, I didn't think that Russ would break his damn hand.
What do we bet? So now that we know,
What was the bet?
I
mean, clearly it's not going to happen if Russ gets traded.
But also,
Brinson said he would shave his head if I remember correctly.
I think that's right.
But he doesn't technically lose the bet until both Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf are retired.
Yeah,
Russ
will retire until he's like 55. He'll be clinging to this.
Brinson's hair will be gone by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at this rate, it will be.
We'll all win. Good Lord. I don't even know why you brought that up, just to besmirching DK's name.
I just thought it was kind of a bizarre. DK Metcalf's season, DK had, in his first 2 years, had 900.
He didn't have Tyler Lockett tonight. Worth noting. He ain't Cooper Kupp.
58 catches, 900 yards his first season. 83 catches on 129 targets. So his catch rate went way up. 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. He has 8 touchdowns this year, which is very good, but 56 catches, 753 yards. He's not going to have as good a season as he did when he was a rookie. And yes, I know that Russ has been hurt, but Lockett has been eating up more of the target share.
Lockett was eating up the
So
target
did
share
Bible enthusiast Tyler Lockett.
before DK got there. He's always been the number one.
Lockett's great. Yeah. I'm just saying that if DK Metcalf, you were debating between DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson at various points in drafts, and Justin Jefferson has been a substantially more productive wide receiver this year.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Reagor might be in the conversation at this point.
What? With what? With who? Like DK?
Yeah.
What? Debo?
Had a good night tonight. Recency bias.
No one is taking Jalen Reagor over DK Metcalf.
I was just trying to Justin Jefferson, of course. No one's taking DK over Justin Jefferson, but Jalen Reagor's a little closer to average than with DK.
Debo, do you want to explain to him what he's doing?
Russell Wilson went 6 of 12 throwing to DK tonight. Just FYI.
Yeah. Jalen Reagor catches at least 7 of those.
What
just happened? What happened? What a weird plot twist.
Wilson is pro Jared Goff and pro Jalen Reagor.
So
and I'm trading 2 first-round picks for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. What's up?
And a third-round pick for Gardner Minshew?
No, I'm not an idiot.
By the way, hit that like button if you haven't already. We're not
114.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
And Marvin Harrison. They get in there.
DK and Metcalf. DK is at what? I'm sorry. I moved from DK's page to Jalen Reagor's page just to see what Jalen Reagor's stats were this year. They are at 25, so probably not. No, I mean if Russ is traded this offseason, then it's done. But this time last year, as DK was having this monster season and people were talking about him as a top 5 wide receiver in football moving forward, there's no way in hell you would have suggested that Russ was going to get traded. That was an all-season thing, right?
Well, I'll welcome him with open arms to the Steelers. I'm going to look this up quickly. It might take me a while, so keep talking.
Wait, what are you looking up?
I just can't believe Jalen Reagor was invoked.
I was bringing it back from the extreme of Justin Jefferson. I went too far.
Keep researching while I talk. Right?
I don't know why you were. You act like I said personal affront to your family members. So I found it. Pro Football Focus, who does great work, and we all love them. They came out with an article on what's today, Tuesday, about realistic trade values for these quarterback situations. Now, I hate this article for one reason. They have the Steelers traded for Kirk Cousins. I do not, under any circumstance, want that to happen. But they have Russ Wilson landing in New Orleans. And let me read you the trade value and see how you feel about this, fellas. The terms: the Saints send the 2022 first-round pick, which is going to be below a 15th round pick, number 15 pick, a first round in 2023, a 2022 second rounder, and a 2023 third rounder. And the Seahawks dead money will have $26 million next year, and the Saints will get a 2-year, $51 million deal. So 2 years they'll extend Russ, who's 33 or whatever he is, and it's going to cost you 2 first rounders, a second rounder, and a third rounder. I would do that all day, every day.
If you're the Saints, yeah.
If I'm the Saints,
yeah. I don't think you can do that for Russ if you're the Seahawks, unless for some reason Russell's performance post surgery.
No, I don't think it's
his trade value, which I don't think it will.
He'll be fine. I think what could affect it in terms of these deals and Seattle accept him if Russ says I'm just going to sit out. If he pulls one of those deals, what are you making a face for, Breech?
No, I think that's. And I don't know why I'd take that if I was the Seahawks. I try to get more. I mean, if the Texans are out there trying to get 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson, that's.
Well, Deshaun's 26 or whatever he is, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Russell thinks he's going to play 10 more years.
So
I'm trying to get
2 first-rounders, a second rounder, a third rounder. How much do you want?
I want
3 first-rounders.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's happening for anybody. For being honest,
I don't see how you can viably trade. You don't have a first-round pick in this upcoming draft, first of all. So
true. You about to get 2 of them.
What about
you just get 1, right?
You know who could trade them 3 first-round picks? The New York Giants. Give them your 2 from 2022, 1 from 2023.
Bears pick is valuable.
Boom! You have Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks will happily take it because right now those are 2 top 10 picks.
You're not trading 3 first-round picks when 2 of them are in top 10.
If you want Russell Wilson, you are.
All right, let's make another bet. That
all right, how about just those 2 picks, not 3 first-round picks? 2
wow,
top 10 picks if you're the Seahawks. Would you do it?
That's a
in
lot.
This draft is like Pete Carroll and John Schneider porn. I mean,
and actually,
players.
I'm the one that always says we overvalue first-round picks. So yes, I'm going to do it. I mean,
what about those 2 first-round picks and Daniel Jones for Russ Wilson?
Well, throw in Mike Glenn and Jake Fromm too. Just get rid of all of them. No offense to your buddy, but my point is that who cares about Daniel Jones at that point?
Maybe the Seahawks think that they can bring Daniel Jones in and have him operate you draft 2 offensive linemen in the top 10.
Yeah, maybe
get some healthy guys back, and you have.
It sounds like an afterthought, but again, I mean, would you rather have Daniel Jones on his rookie deal or Kirk Cousins? I think I'm taking Daniel Jones. If we're being honest.
No, Kirk Cousins.
You got to pay him a salary as well.
Well, I mean, what team are they on? I guess.
Oh no, the Seahawks. That's what I'm saying.
No, Kirk Cousins.
No, how are you going to pay for the offensive lineman? Then you're paying this numbnut $40 million.
The Seahawks are losing because they spent on Russ. They're losing because they drafted terribly. The other problem is, do the Seahawks even like first-round picks? Would they even want to pick them? Would they trade down for both of them? I mean, who knows?
Well, Rashad Penny.
They wouldn't even know what to do with
LJ Collier. Well, they know what to
do.
The
Seahawks launched their dynasty on essentially 2 draft classes that landed. The Earl Thomas they had in the first round, and then the Russ, Bobby Wagner, and Richard Sherman was the Earl Thomas class, I think, right?
All right, so let's make a bet now. I'm going to bet that no quarterback elicits. I think elicits the right word. 3 first-round picks.
Elist?
He does not think any quarterback is going to get traded for 3.
Elicits.
Yeah. I was going to say solicits, and then you got me thinking about DK again. So elicits 3 first-round picks. Neither Deshaun, nor Russ, nor Aaron.
Elicits is correct, yeah.
Thanks for looking that up. I saw you.
E-list. I was like, what is an E-list?
So you want the over?
I think that.
Oh, here you go. 2.5. That's the first round pick. You want the over or the under?
I'll take the over for Russ.
For each?
If you trade a player who was a first round pick as part of the package, does that count?
Maybe that should count as a half because it's a post fact.
Like a Daniel Jones or a Tua.
That's a half. You get a half point.
Okay.
So then you push.
Okay.
Unless you trade 2 of them, then you win.
Trade Tua to the Giants, Tua and Daniel Jones plus 2 first round picks to the Seahawks, and we're cooking with gas.
2.5, Breech. What do you got?
I'm going under.
I do it. I don't think 3 are going to go. It's just too rich for these guys.
Well, I mean, to Breech's point, the Bears are playing so poorly and the Giants are playing so poorly that if you took those 2 first round picks and traded them, those are so high
that you don't. Yeah,
you wouldn't send a third.
Right.
And it's hard to imagine. Like with Russ, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if the Saints would send 3. Although Sean Payton has to think if he gets Russell Wilson, he's extending.
You want to hear something crazy? And not to get too far afield, but I was talking to our buddy Joe Musso, who's a huge Bears fan and was very angry last night in the chat because the Bears lost in the way that they did. His list of guys that he loves to replace Matt Nagy: Josh McDaniels, number 1, offensive guy; Byron Leftwich, Sean Payton.
Yeah, Bears fans keep talking about Sean Payton. I don't really understand that.
I'm with you. I was like, this sounds crazy.
Why would he leave a place where everyone loves him and go to
they don't have
Chicago?
A quarterback. Well, they can draft a quarterback or sign one or trade for one. They'll be fine. Or come to Chicago.
he's beloved in New Orleans. It's New Orleans. He basically runs. Tom Benson died. He and Mickey Loomis basically run the franchise. And Mickey Loomis is usually dealing with the Pelicans. So Sean Payton runs the Saints. He basically he's like Pete Carroll. He has an owner who died while he was coaching. Someone else took over. they are going to lean on him for advice. He can do whatever he wants with the draft. He can trade or sign for whoever he wants. Chicago's awesome, but there's one city that's better than Chicago. It's New Orleans.
Not windy, not cold.
He just recently got married for a second time. So he's not going to, weirder things have happened in the NFL, but that is a crazy take to suggest that, I know how the Bears can solve their problems. We'll just go get Sean Payton.
Let me ask you this.
Sure, okay.
And I don't know if we want to leave after this or not, but this just occurred to me. And maybe there's an apology tour the next over the next few months or whatever. What about John Gruden in Chicago?
I don't think you can have John Gruden coach in 2022.
All right.
Right?
Even if he apologizes?
I don't think so.
What if he apologizes and
didn't he already apologize?
He said he's going to sue the pants off the NFL, I think.
I'm sorry. He's currently suing Roger Goodell. He's not coaching.
Right.
I mean, it would be hilarious if Jacksonville hired him. Like, we're done with Urban Meyer. We're not going to do this controversial stuff anymore. We're going to go get John Gruden. He's a football guy.
Yeah, there was somebody pointed. Yeah, Sean Payton did go to Eastern Illinois, and he also was the offensive coordinator for the Giants. So you can find connections for those guys all over the place. But I would just be shocked if Sean Payton left his situation where if he finds he had Jameis. The Saints were playing great with Jameis. That's a very unlikely scenario, I think.
Okay, so that's all stuff that's happening this offseason. I think we should end with, are the Rams going to win the NFC West?
Yes.
Oh, that's how we were initially going to talk about after the break. So
we haven't taken a break yet?
We've taken like 4 breaks.
So we took the break. I said we were initially going to talk about it.
Oh, right. We talked about the Arizona schedule. They're going to win one game. I asked you the over under 11.5. You all banged the under.
No, but I said, do you know what the odds are on the NFC West? And then we went off.
The Rams schedule is not much friendlier though. That's the twist.
Well, the Cardinals have Indy, at Dallas, and Seattle. They can't win home games, and they're going to lose on the road to Dallas. So they win one game there. They get to 11 wins.
Look at these numbers.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's still minus money for the Cardinals.
I think the Rams are a bet. Rams are a bet there.
Breech, who were the next 3 games for the Rams?
The Rams are at Minnesota.
Win.
At Baltimore.
Toss up. But a winnable game.
And then close the season against the 49ers.
The thing is, Baltimore can't score points, and whether it's Tyler Huntley or Lamar Jackson, it ain't like the Rams have scored a lot of points either. As you noted, Brinson, it was 3-3 at the half. And the San Francisco game will be tough. That'll be home in Los Angeles.
So if let me clear this out real quick. If the Rams
need to win 2 games, and I don't see a path, and maybe this is jinxing it or reverse jinxing it, for the Cardinals to win 2 games. I think they go 1-2.
Well, I'm sort of wondering what would happen could the Rams find themselves in a situation where, so if they go 2-0 and the Cardinals go 0-2 over the next 2 weeks, and just for sake of discussion, the 49ers go 2-0 as well.
So the 49ers will be playing for second place in the division.
Yes, but at that point, the Rams would be 12 and at the same time, we've got let me just do Green Bay too, just because the Rams would have moved up to the 2 seed. Let's give Dallas a win. Let's give Green Bay a win on Christmas. We give Green Bay a win over the Vikings. And where are the Cowboys? Cowboys beat the Cardinals. So we go into week 18. The Rams are 12-4. The Cowboys are 12-4, and the Packers are 13-3.
Yeah.
The Rams, with the Cardinals and the 49ers at 10-6, the Rams have won the division. Sean McVay, if he has a chance to sit anybody at any point, he does it.
Yes.
And so I'm sort of wondering if Philly wins, the Rams would jump up to 2, but I don't think they can catch.
They already lost to the Packers, so they're not going to win.
They can't catch the Packers. Right. They can't. Right. So I sort of think, like, even if the Lions won and the Rams, I sort of think if
what's your ultimate point here?
Yeah, where are you going? Where are you going with this?
I think that if the Rams go 2-0 and the Cardinals go 0-2, Sean McVay sits everybody in week 18.
Oh, okay.
Because ultimately they would
against the 49ers.
Against the 49ers, which then probably gets the 49ers to leapfrog the Cardinals, which would put the Cardinals in severe danger of missing the playoffs.
They're not going to miss it because we just said they're going to go 1-2. If they win one game, they're in.
Right. I wouldn't call it severe danger.
Then they're in a wild card spot, and they could be facing the Rams in the first round.
I just don't know that. I don't know that Sean McVay would care about whether he was the 2, 3, or 4 seed. You know,
I'm sure they'll do the math.
As a matter of fact, our sports line projections that will be coming out either tomorrow or Thursday, the Cardinals are projected finish is the 5th seed.
Sure.
That's a preview.
Wow.
Even though they are negative 155, that means they are not projected to win the division according to us, which means one of these bets is a good number here.
The Rams at plus 135 is a very good bet. It should be like minus 110 on each one. Because you're well, it's I guess it'd be a 4-game parlay. Maybe I guess you need a 4-game parlay out of 6 or something like that, right? If the Cardinals lose 2 and the Rams win 2, it's over. And the Cardinals are against the Colts and against the Cowboys, and the Rams have who do we say week 16?
Rams have
Ravens.
At the Vikings, at the Packers. I mean, at the Ravens, yeah. So it's gonna be a dogfight. But if I'm getting plus money on the Rams, I'm taking the Rams.
And the other thing about that Vikings game is that you got a Tuesday game. You got to fly halfway across the country. It's Christmas weekend. It's one of those weird things where I think weird things are going to happen on Sunday.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is going to throw 4 interceptions,
and Matthew Stafford's going to throw 6.
I mean, again, as we pointed out, the people who got hosed in the movement of the schedule are the Eagles and the teams that won. I mean, the Raiders, Eagles, and Rams.
Well, don't get mad, get better.
All right.
I'm going to put that on a shirt.
Don't get mad, get
There's
better.
a path.
That's how we sign off
to
this
not
podcast.
getting
Don't
mad,
get mad,
getting
get better. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening on this Tuesday night. Oh, we even got done before Wednesday came around.
Oh, yes, it's Tuesday
There'll
night.
be a Brady Quinn football show in the feed. I know everybody loves we did a little Urban Meyer talk too. Don't worry about it. People get
That's dropping at noon on Wednesday, a little later so people can listen to this recap.
Oh, right, because this is coming out in the morning too. So there's a Brady Quinn podcast in the feed at noon. And then we'll be back on Thursday with a pick show. And what a friggin' week. A pick show, of course, the Thursday Night Football preview. And then, of course, the Thursday Night Football recap. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button and hit subscribe so you know when we go live on Thursday. There will be, just as an FYI, no Christmas show despite 2 games on Christmas. I'm sorry in advance. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
Sorry.
All right, Wilson and Breech. I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.